Hey guys, and welcome back to 4 Teens for Change.
I'm Layla.
I'm Ava.
I'm Sammy.
I'm Luna.
And today's episode, we're going to be talking about mental health. Yay!
Okay, so before this episode starts, we just want to cover that, or we just want to say that we will be talking about some really sensitive and serious topics that might trigger some people. So just keep in mind that in today's episode, we'll be discussing like mental health issues, eating disorders, and
Like depression,
Yeah.
anxiety, PTSD.
yeah,
Like-
and suicide as well. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind before continuing.
Yes. I'm excited about today's episode. I feel like
Uh-huh.
this is something that needs to be discussed. I feel like
Definitely.
mental health is definitely
Definitely.
something that should be normalized
Yeah,
talking
for
about.
sure.
I mean, should we start off with asking what does mental health mean to you guys?
I think we
think we
should. Okay, wait, someone else can answer that.
Okay, so I think that mental health is probably like one of the most important things we come across as being a teenager, because no one really talks about it much while you're growing up, but as you go into your teenage years, it becomes more prevalent. So I think that mental health is probably one of the most important aspects of teenage life. And I think for me, it means being able to cope with whatever I'm struggling with and being able to see the brighter side of things, even when I'm feeling like absolute not good.
Yeah.
Absolute caca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing you said to me. Sorry. Okay, I mean, like, for me at least, I think mental health is important at every stage in life. Like, from childhood, adolescence, all the way to adulthood, there's still, like Layla said, finding ways to cope and be able to handle what you're going through and deal with it in a healthy way, I think is very important, because there's many ways people cope, but it's not necessarily the greatest. And I think everyone can say, not everyone, but like, I mean, from personal experience, I guess I feel like there was ways I dealt with what was going on and I wasn't able, like, it kind of made it worse. And I think it's very important to, I don't know, understand and like talk to someone, you know?
Yeah, so to me, mental health is just like, it's something that should be treated the same as physical health. Like when someone has a physical health like disability or something, like people don't like treat them differently, or people don't try to. And I feel like that should be the same thing for mental health. It should apply the same, because you shouldn't be treated differently if you have a mental health disorder, you know? And I think mental health is not, it doesn't only come to like it's not only there when you have something like wrong. Like, you know, it's not only there when you're suffering with depression. It's always there, and you always have to care for yourself and care for your mental health no matter what.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's something that needs to be more prioritized and talked about in modern day society.
Yeah, definitely. So like to add on to like what you said, I just feel like mental health is really like overlooked, like especially among teenagers. It is so much more common than like most people think. Like I think 1 in 3 people experience it.
Yeah.
Especially after COVID, the rates rose a lot.
Exactly. So mental health is like, for me, I think mental health is your emotional well-being. It just like, it really depends on like how you feel, happy, sad, like it's just like you have to like prioritize like those like emotions. And I feel like a lot of people like have a hard time like coming to terms with those emotions.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's also like psychological and social.
Yeah.
To mental health, there's like so many like ways it can affect someone. Also, I feel like it's very important to remember that your mental health can change over time. Just because you're not dealing with
Definitely,
something right now
yeah.
doesn't mean something in the future will cause you to have, I don't want to, like, a not disability, but like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Disorder.
disorder that you
Yeah.
have to deal with.
it can definitely like affect you in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that it doesn't get better.
Yeah.
Like-
Mental health is really like fluid. It'll come and go, like mental health disorders, like not all of them, but
I
a
mean-
lot of them. Like just depression, like it might be apparent in some parts of your life, but not all your life, or it might not even show at all.
I don't know
I don't
if I
think
agree with-
necessarily that it comes and goes. I think
Yeah.
it's something that people struggle with, and you have to work at it constantly to
No,
make
I
it
know,
I
but
agree
I
with
mean, some
that.
people aren't going to experience it like in their teenagers, but maybe in their adult years. I'm
Okay,
not
yeah.
saying
Yeah.
for a single person it
I
comes and goes,
remember-
but just in general, it's not something that's always there.
Yeah, I remember learning in psychology last year that a lot of adults actually experience like a life crisis what's that called? I think there's like a name
Midlife
for-
crisis.
Yes, a midlife crisis. Like around the ages of like 20s and 30s, they have no idea what they want to do with their life. Like after they graduate college, it's really difficult for them.
20s and 30s, that is not
Not
midlife. Midlife is like
I know, but
just
those
midlife
were like
crisis.
those were like really
You're gonna
common.
make people feel so old.
Sorry, those were common like ages. So yeah, what Sammy was saying, it definitely affects like all ages.
And one age group that it affects a lot is our age group, the teenage age group, because it's like in this time, like our brain is still developing, and we are so like a lot of people are just so confused. And once like something like that happens, like you like get diagnosed with a mental disorder, you start seeing symptoms, like it can be like really scary because
It's
you
also,
don't.
yeah,
You're so
sorry.
new to it. No, you're fine.
It's also hard if, like, for us, we're lucky because we have a good, solid friend group to go through something through if we're having an issue. But, like, it can, like, I can imagine that it's terrible. I mean, it's terrible for everyone, but it's so difficult for those people who are alone,
Yeah.
who have no one to
feeling
look.
isolated.
Yeah,
I
they, like, have no one to
completely
talk
agree with
to.
that.
I feel like something that's very like in our age group is that's something like that damages like how do I put it? Like something that's like really like, oh my God, what am I
Detrimental.
Yeah, something that's really detrimental is that
Big word.
like mental health in our age group has a lot of societal disapproval. Like there's a huge stigma around it. Like
Definitely.
where people like see it as like view people as less if they have mental health disorders, or they like view people as less if they have like a therapist or something.
Yeah, and going back to like what you said, like how it's like overlooked and not like prioritized compared to physical health. Like somebody could look like at a person who like their body type wouldn't be exactly healthy, but that's all they like focus on. Like they don't like ever like take into consideration on like what they actually may be like dealing with on the inside. So yeah, it's definitely overlooked.
And then that goes into the fact that you never ever know what someone's going through. Like
You never do.
for example, like not saying any of us, but we're out here right now making this podcast about mental health, and we're just doing it professionally and everything, but you don't know like what either any of us could be going through. We don't know what any of you guys can be going through.
Exactly. That's why we put like a trigger warning at the beginning, because we know it can like affect like our audiences.
A touchy subject for some people.
But that's also why this is like such a safe space to talk about
also,
this stuff.
I feel like though our age group now, I feel like there's some people who I feel like a lot of people are trying to like normalize it.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Which
what I mean?
I
Like
think
as
is
it goes
really
on,
good.
I think
Which
it's
is
really good.
really
And like
good.
people are normalizing like therapy and getting help, and like I think everyone should have a therapist. I go to therapy.
So do I.
I love it. I love going to therapy.
Yeah, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
It really isn't.
Because a lot of people like they don't like telling like other people like, oh yeah, I go to therapy, but like in reality you don't really need to have like an issue in order to like go to therapy. It's just good to like talk to someone and have someone in your corner for when you need it.
yeah. And it's good to talk to someone who's not like your parents.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, because
but like talking to your parents is okay too. But
Yeah.
like for those who don't feel comfortable with it, then a therapist
Yeah.
is definitely a very good person to like speak to.
Okay, so I think that we're gonna definitely get more into like the stigma around therapy and mental health. But
we, like, start
yeah,
with, like-
so I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Do you
Okay.
think that you guys were prepared for mental health and like you know what I mean?
Prepared.
Like, do you think that you
Really?
were like
would happen to
ready
us?
for what was gonna happen, or do you think that you kind of came into it kind of blind?
Blindsided.
Yeah.
For sure. I think I was blindsided.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel
don't know about that one.
I think that it just depends on the person, because you never know. Like, for me at least, I feel like I was the type of person who thought like, okay, mental health is a serious thing. A lot of people suffer from these type of disorders, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I
I always
never
thought,
see
I never
yourself
thought
going
I was
through it.
gonna get bad.
That is definitely
until I got
true.
bad, and then I was like, oh,
yeah.
Well,
And it's
Yeah.
scary. It's scary because you're not prepared.
and that kind of mindset, like even though everyone kind of thinks it, like it kind of like goes into that stigma, like other people have it, but I'm not gonna have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
You know
I
what I mean?
completely agree, because I didn't really like think anything like when I was younger. In middle school, I feel like I always had anxiety, but I feel like a lot of kids do. I feel like they get anxious. Oh my God, I can't speak. Anxious about things. But I never. Yeah, I agree. I never was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be the person that needs
Yeah.
like to get help or something like that.
Do you think that mental health was something that was discussed a lot in your household, like,
No.
growing up?
Yeah.
So.
I don't know.
My
actually.
sister has talked to me about it, but I think that that's something that should be addressed. I think that parents do need to talk to their children. And I know it's a touchy subject. I know that it can get like, it's difficult because you never want to imagine that your kid or someone you love that much could go through any of these type of things. But they are so real, and it's just so prevalent in teenagers and people older. But it's, you need to talk to your kids about these things.
Yeah, and make sure like they feel comfortable and like know that it's okay if you want. Like, I'm very thankful to like be able to like tell my mom like, hey, like I like want to go
to therapy.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like some kids don't have that opportunity to be able to go tell their parents that they need help. Yeah. And that makes me really sad because they're like, that's supposed to be like
their safe space.
Yeah.
That's completely like on the parent though.
Yeah.
I know. Like, if a parent No, I know. I'm not like saying that like you didn't think that. But yeah, a lot of kids like they fear like going to someone, and I feel like if you go to a parent, like it's your parent's responsibility to react the way that like like you want them to react. Like they should say like, I want to get you the help you need. They should be there for you. But if they don't react that way, it's not your fault. Like I feel like a lot of people like blame it on them and are like, oh, like maybe like they're right. Maybe I'm not like as sick as I think I am.
I also feel like
you are.
I feel like it's just now becoming more talked about and like more out there. Like mental health has become a bigger deal in today's society, but that's why I think that maybe some parents don't talk about it with their kids because it wasn't talked about with them. Yeah. And they don't know how to have this type of conversation.
No, I completely agree with that because my mom was always telling me, like, my mom would never talk to me about it. She said she grew up and oh my God.
Okay. Sorry, Heather.
No, not Heather. Hi, Nona. Love you. Okay, well, I feel like it was a different. I feel like it was a different time back then. Yeah, too. Definitely. I feel like different generations, different things was normalized, and I feel like some people didn't grow up where, like, no one really talked about it. And my mom said she grew up and like it wasn't really talked about, and so she wanted to make sure that like she was able to with.
Yeah. So I have a question then from that. Do you think that?
Just to answer my question.
Sorry,
I was waiting for you guys to finish. But going back to what you said, like if it was discussed in my household when I was younger, I would say it wasn't exactly discussed, but I was never really blindsided by it because I grew up with a family member who dealt with a lot when I was at a young age. Like even when I was like in 5th and 6th grade, I had a family member who was going to therapy and who was like dealing with a lot of like emotional like damage. So it made it like, how do I like open to it? Yeah, exactly. It opened to me. It gave me like an idea on like what people go through and stuff. And I never did think that I was going to be one of the people like to experience something like that. But I think nobody really does. Nobody. Oh, I don't know why that like my voice. Nobody expects it and nobody wants it.
Yeah, but it kind of like happens to most people. Like one in three people will experience depression in their life. So like the amount of people who experience a mental health disorder is like, it's still like rising to the number. So
after COVID, I think it went up. Like it was like at a point 9.7%. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of like young mental health like youth. Is that what I would say? Like
but
teens.
Think about
but like with major depression and it was at 9.2 and now it's at 9.7 just after like a year of COVID. And that seems like a small number, but points and like
that makes a lot.
It's a lot.
Think about how big our world is and like how COVID, I mean, it was about like a little bit over a year since March. So that's like not a long time at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
it definitely is.
Yeah. In the U.S. alone, 46% of parents said that their kids like had new or worsening mental health like symptoms after March of 2020, which is like, which is insane. That's like a huge number, and that's just because like staying in bed, like or staying at home all the time and not really being able to go out for help, or if you do get help, it's like through your phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really makes it like so much harder.
And also for some of the people who like, because we all had to stay home during quarantine, obviously, but for some of the people who were staying home, the problem is at home. Yeah. That's why like that could be a reason why so many like this number is increasing so much because the problem is at home and they can't get away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks because
I
a
thought
lot
about
of
it when
us
I
have
was
the
researching.
privilege to like to be able to like be in a healthy environment at home.
Yeah.
But some people don't. Some people like have either like struggles with their parents or struggles with like their siblings or struggles with whoever's living in the house, because it's not always your family living in your house. Some people have to manage living with like other people or other family members and stuff, and it makes it just so hard. So like imagine like being like in the place where you want to escape the most. Like a lot of people use school, like going to school as their outlet or going out as their outlet. So like being stuck in the place where you don't want to be for like months and months on end really like will damage your mental health, and that's like something that needs to be talked about more.
I feel like the saddest part is that so many kids, like, they struggle with that at home. They have like abusive parents, like, you know, it's just not a good environment. And if they ever needed like, well, I support social distancing, I will not go against that, but if a friend ever needed to go out to like see another friend and talk to them, like so many people would just like tell them like, oh, you're inconsiderate, you're selfish, like you're killing people. But it's just like, you know, like you never know what someone's going through, and if they need like a person in their corner and they need to like see and speak with that person.
Sometimes people just need
a hug.
Exactly. So once again, I definitely support social distancing.
And in that time period, because now luckily things are getting better, but like in that time period, like when everyone would like yell at people for like going out, like people
everyone
needed
would
to
be like, oh, stay inside, you're selfish, you're inconsiderate, but you never knew what someone's like environment at home was like. So
I agree. I mean, like, what do we want to get into right now?
I honestly think that we should get into the stigma around mental health now.
You want to start with
I think that we should talk about the most important or the most like prevalent mental health disorders.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what are we gonna start
striking at number 1 is anxiety.
Yeah. I love anxiety.
So when I was doing research, I came across the statistic that 1 in 8 teens suffer from anxiety, and that can be general anxiety, social anxiety, or panic disorder.
There's also OCD is a type of anxiety, if you guys did not know.
I know.
I think that all of us could say that we've like suffered from like anxiety or like anxiety attack. Well, myself, I've suffered from like an anxiety attack or two, and they like suck a lot. Like they really do. But I'm not diagnosed with anxiety, but like it happens to everyone. Everyone like will experience anxiety in their lifetime.
Yeah, even like if you don't actually have anxiety, you still experience it at some
like
point.
some form
like giving
of
a
it.
presentation, like in school, like your heart races. I mean, at least for me. But you get like scared
Sweaty.
and anxious and nervous, and like that's like a sign of anxiety.
tummy.
But that doesn't mean you actually like have it.
I think that from COVID, I feel like people can relate to this. From COVID, I realized that like being home all the time really affected my what's it called?
Social cues.
No, not social
it's
cues.
social
Social battery.
Though.
My social battery. Is that what it is?
I mean, that's like when you like get tired.
Mine would be
of being able
social
to-
cues.
So I feel like I would, because I was at home so much, I wouldn't have to spend all day on the weekend or all day every day with other people, and I'd have to be talking to them. What the heck?
No, we're like voice cracking over here.
I wouldn't have to be talking to them.
I'm gonna start crying.
So I feel like now when I go out, it's just like I can get tired of that type of thing so easily, and I can start feeling like I just start feeling like the worst emotions, and it's my anxiety kicking in, like, why did I say that? And then I start thinking about that the rest of the day.
And you like know, and it's like, you know, when you're like going to bed and you're about to like sleep, and then you think about what you said,
think about it, and I'm like, why did I do that? Everyone probably thinks I'm so weird. Guys, no one thinks you're weird. Everyone goes through this, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, you're not weird. I
For
promise.
me, it wasn't so much my social battery, it's more like my social cues, I feel like. Also, I would get so nervous to do simple things. Like, I remember calling a restaurant during COVID, and my mom was like, yeah, like, tell them what you want. I'd be like, me? Like, I'd be like, why not you?
And not like
I would just get a little anxious because I feel like I haven't like spoken to like people like, you know, like
in
in so
a long time
that it was
socialized.
like, I was just like, I don't really know, like,
especially
how to, like,
random
ask.
people. Yeah.
Exactly. But I feel like, honestly, I've been doing some things by myself. Like, I went to T-Mobile the other day by myself.
I feel like do you want to go?
No.
Okay. My experience, I feel like, is kind of different from you guys, because when I go out, sometimes my social battery dies. And I'm like, okay, I want to go home now. but it's more of like when I like, okay, I basically like have anxiety every single day. I don't think there's a moment when I like a day where I don't like have it at least once. Or, I mean, does that make sense? Like, have it once, like, where I don't get anxious
like
about
the feeling
something.
of it,
Yeah. So that's, like, kind of a bummer, I would say.
Yeah.
But during COVID, especially, like, what we were just talking about, and whenever I'd go out, I feel like when I was at home, I got attached to being at home, so home became my comfort place, so I wouldn't want to go out. I like
me too. I remember
he would try to get me out.
Yeah.
No, like I really
Literally.
appreciate you guys are trying to get me out of the house. I would like make excuses for why I wouldn't go out. And if I did go out, I would either like obviously like I feel like I would end up having a good time. Sometimes I would be like, oh my gosh, like I kind of like I don't know, like I'd get anxious and like want to go home. It wasn't that I was scared to go out. It's just like the thought of leaving the house physically, like it made me want to break down and start crying. Like if there was like sometimes there was no way I was gonna leave the house. Like I was supposed to like I mean I don't know if I give names.
No. Just say it.
Okay, well like actually he's not gonna watch this. Okay, my ex at the time, like we were supposed to hang out. Shout out. No, but there was times like I wouldn't. What?
Nothing. Okay,
Oh,
right.
not him.
No, I know.
I wasn't like I like he. I don't know what I'm trying to say right now. I'm sorry. I was supposed to hang, and there was times where I literally would have a panic attack before I would go out to do something because I couldn't do it. Like there was no way I was gonna leave the house. I would be like crying. I would call Luna in the car sometimes. One time I called her, I was getting back, and I was like, I can't go hang out right now.
I was just like, Ava just like calls me with like tears on her face. And I'm like, girl, what's wrong? Like,
and I'm just like, I can't leave. Like I need to stay home, and I would just sit at home. I don't even know what I do at home. I think I started reading then, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of like don't. Well, I don't know. I don't like feel the same way because for me, home is never really like the place where I want to be. Honestly, like growing up, I always never really liked being home. I like being outside and I like being with friends more than I like being alone. Because I'm a single child, so they all have siblings. So for me at home, I don't have anyone to like really talk to. It's just like me sitting there with my dogs and my cat, but I can't talk to them. I mean, I can.
They just won't respond.
They won't respond. Yeah, but for me, being at home is just never that fun, or just never. I feel like if I were to be at home that long again, that would not be healthy for me at all. But that's why I like being outside, and I love like being able to like, even being with my friends. I feel like for me personally is my therapy. It makes me like happy. It really does. And talking to my friends is like what makes me like content in my life, like honestly. But I also do think that having a therapist would still be beneficial for me. Like, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I feel like differently than Ava, but for everyone it's different. Like COVID has affected everyone so differently.
Also, can I just say something really quick?
Yeah, go.
No one's like never invalidate someone's mental health.
Yeah.
No, if like one thing I just want to point out is obviously what we're going through might not be as severe as what other people are. Do you know what I mean? Like or like do you know what I mean?
But
it's like everything's different, but it doesn't it doesn't mean that it's not valid and that what you're not feeling isn't like difficult
important
for you or isn't important. Okay, go. Sorry.
I was like saying how when COVID started, I remember laying in bed and watching like my shows, catching up on Grey's Anatomy and all that. I loved it. Like I was obsessed with it. I never wanted to leave the house. And I remember FaceTiming Ava and we'd be like, we kind of like this. And then when they were like extending the quarantine, like I was just like, okay, like this is good. But like at a certain point, I was like, okay, I need to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Now. Like I can't do this anymore.
Not agree. I think obviously I support quarantine. That was smart. That was what we needed for the country. But I do not agree at all. When I was home, I would hate it. Like I would want to be outside. Like Sammy said, I have siblings, but I'm still like the type of person who wants to be outside, wants to be hanging out with their friends. Because like, let's be real, me and my siblings fight a lot. So being stuck inside with only those people for 2 weeks.
It was like more than, it became a year.
No,
honestly,
it became a year.
Yeah, but like those 2 weeks.
Yeah,
well, I mean, not
weeks
really
where we
every
couldn't
day,
do
but,
anything.
like,
The 2 weeks where we couldn't do anything, I probably would only see like Sammy, Luna, and my ex-boyfriend. We would try to get out of the
house, obviously masked up, but we would like go do things around our neighborhood because I could only go out for like an hour.
I literally
and I had to be fully masked up. But yeah, we like tried our hardest to like go out. I feel like my parents were a little bit more like lenient because they knew that I had no one to talk to at home. So like I was allowed to see you. We would like go out and like
For 3 hours a
go
day.
plant picking. We would like do whatever we could.
But
to,
even like the small things that really helped me keep my mental health okay. Not obviously not perfect, but it helped me keep it from getting to the dark side.
Yeah. I honestly feel like those 2 weeks for me, like overall quarantine really like did have a negative impact on me in some aspects, but those 2 weeks honestly were really nice for me. Like those 2 weeks specifically, like I felt like I did so much for myself, and I feel like those times where we did like little things, like those were like so fun. Like I like took those moments, like I like before had taken all those moments for granted, and then I was like, okay, like and now I'm gonna like live these like 3 hours that I'm allowed out to the fullest, and it ended up being so much fun. Like you guys, we did like we would go like not like like digging in trash, but like we would go walk around the neighborhood and go in the alleys and like find things to
like
DIY.
Dumpster diving,
but not like in the dumpsters. Like we would not go in the dumpsters.
It was weird. It was weird.
But, yeah, but we like we found a mirror like on the side of a trash can. We like painted it, and it was like all cute.
We did not paint it. We left it on my balcony.
We cleaned it. We cleaned it.
I like, oh my God, like hearing all this like reminds me of how weird it was to be locked inside the whole time. I remember a week before, like 2 weeks before quarantine, me and Sammy went to LA, and there were so many people, and my dad knew about COVID in like January, so he like told me about it. And
didn't you?
Huh?
Didn't you?
Didn't I know?
I thought everyone knew about it.
No, nobody thought it was that serious.
But
He knew it was serious.
okay.
He literally predicted school shutting down and everything. But he told me like not to go in like big groups. And me and Sammy went to LA like 2 weeks before in a huge group. And Sammy was like touching the railings and everything. And I was like, don't touch your face after because you're gonna get COVID. And he was like, no, I'm not. And then 2 weeks later, we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
Like,
okay,
so we're just
bringing
like here.
back to the topic. I think that we should talk about like other mental health disorders because it's a crazy statistic that I found when I was researching. I think that this is actually really cool. In teenagers 13 to 17, if they have depression, 3 and 4 will have other like mental health disorders like anxiety. So like it normally comes in like
one comes from the other. I think in my opinion.
That's really
no, it is true.
Yeah.
Most people don't suffer from only one mental disorder. It's like more than one, and it's not even that. It's also like mental disorders like OCD, and there's so many more that we obviously aren't covering, but they're still as valid as the ones that we're covering. Just like, but we can't obviously get to everything.
We're just talking about like the main ones.
Yeah,
that
but we're
affect
talking
teenagers,
about
the most common amongst teenagers.
So I think it's very interesting that teenage girls are more than 2 times as likely to face depression than boys. So I think that we should talk about that. I don't know if it's because boys don't express their emotions as much as girls do.
I feel like that would make it like worse. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I wish I was Sammy.
What?
Yeah,
You're
Sammy's a boy.
I feel like honestly that stems from a lot of physical appearance issues, to be honest. I feel
I agree.
like I'm not saying boys don't struggle with their physical appearance or like eating habits or anything like that, but girls like are much more likely to deal with that. Like there's actual statistics behind that to prove it. So I feel like those can lead to like depression.
Not
and
only
that's
that,
probably
but
why it's
like,
more common.
Women are a minority, like compared to men. Like they face discrimination that men like would never even like begin to understand. Yeah. So that definitely like contributes to like the reason why so many women experience like mental health disorders compared to men.
I just think it's interesting because that goes to show how many girls are suffering through it that aren't talking about it.
Also,
I mean, obviously, like when you go out with your friends, the first thing you're gonna talk about isn't depression, but like,
do you guys find it hard to talk about like mental health with other people who aren't really your like closest friends? Like, do you find it hard to open up?
Honestly, depending on the person, sometimes I would be like, because sometimes I feel comfortable with people I don't know, if that makes sense. But other times, like I don't want, like I'm not gonna go around and be like, hey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like if it comes up, it comes up. I'm pretty open about like everything.
Yeah, if it comes up, but I'm not gonna like go out of my way to like bring it up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, I agree. I wouldn't just go out of my way to bring it up. And I honestly, even if the topic got to like that point, I wouldn't give everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like right now, I'm not giving everything, but like But like it depends. But I also
Some stuff
feel
is,
like
super
some
personal.
people I feel more close or more attached to them, or just like I like being around them more when they know like what I'm like going
what
through.
you're going through. Yeah.
Yeah, like 100%.
I feel like I can definitely be an oversharer. So sometimes sometimes I overshare, but usually it's not something that I bring up in conversation.
Right.
I mean, I think that there's, at least for me, I think that it's good when people are transparent and honest about what they're going through so other people can help them through it. But I think that for me, there's like a time and place when I want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
not
me
like,
too. It's not something you can just like.
yeah,
You know,
I think
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna be,
randomly like bring it up in a group of friends or anything.
Yeah,
like, that. Yeah.
at least for us, we do this thing where we walk to a school. I'm not going to disclose which one. We walk to a school and we have these, what we call deep convos, and we just let it all out. We talk
Yeah.
about everything we need to talk about and what we're struggling with right now. And I think those for me are very helpful.
I think those
I
nights that
agree.
we do that are probably some of the best nights like of the year for me, like for sure, because I feel like it's like a moment where we're like all so vulnerable and we all like just say everything that we need to say and like
Yeah.
all of us listen, which is so like find yourself a group of friends, even if you can't, but just like try to find yourself a group of friends or
just
someone
find
who you
someone
can
to
talk to,
listen
because like
to
once
you.
you start to like talk, it makes things a whole lot better. Like
even like the little things, like it does do a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and like it's okay if you don't have like some like we don't all like go through the same thing. So if you don't have
Yeah.
like sometimes like I know it can be hard to like comfort someone, but even just listening to what someone is telling you and being there for them, like just sitting next to them.
That's the most
It's like, that's
important
enough.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going off of that, I definitely, another thing that I wanted to say is that it's okay to not fully be able to relate with someone. Like if someone
Yeah.
else is experiencing depression and you are too, you're not going to have the same symptoms and you're not going to be having the same exact like experience with it. So don't feel like if you feel like yours is like worse than the person that you're talking to or worse than everyone's story that you've heard. It's okay. Everyone will go through things differently. So don't feel like you're like you're not going to get better or like your problems aren't valid enough because other people's like
Yeah, and
other
I feel
people
like
struggle with it
comparing
worse.
is one of the worst things
Yeah.
you can do because it just invalidates people completely.
And it
makes other
invalidates
people-
yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly. So just don't compare because every
Yeah.
problem's equally as valid, even though some are not as hard as the others. They're still important.
Yeah, and when you're talking to someone and like you are experiencing different things completely, don't like listen to them like the way that you'd want to be listened to as
Yeah.
well. Like make sure that whoever you're talking to about it, it's a really serious topic, but we should discuss it more. But like when you're talking to someone about it, like make sure that you're giving them all ears and make sure that you don't don't put yourself in like don't try to compare, like what Luna said. Don't
Yeah.
compare yourself to their situation. Just listen.
Also,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, whenever someone rants to them or like tells them their problems or what they're like dealing with, everyone's like, "Oh, I don't know what advice to give them." You don't have to give them advice.
Yeah.
Like you could just be there for them, listen to them. That's what most people want in the first place. Like,
Yeah.
because a lot of people know it's like, "Oh, you can't like really
Yeah.
relate to me, so I don't need advice from you."
Do you
It's
guys
just like
want,
you want-
Also-
when you're talking about it, do you guys want advice or what do you
see,
want to
the thing
hear?
is, I feel like I sometimes can't tell because like I'm always here to listen, but I don't know if someone wants me to say like in this situation, like maybe like do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if they're asking for advice or like oh like I kind of like went through something like I don't know
Yeah.
if I should like say that to make sure like they understand that like I like know like I like get it like and I'm like do you know what I mean? Like I'm there for you. Like I don't.
I feel like for me, it depends on the type of problem. Like whatever problem that I'm having, it's situational. It'll depend if I want advice or not, or if I just want to be listened to. But like, for example, when I went to therapy, I expected my therapist, like I wanted her to be able to relate to me, which I know is like, it's like a bad thing. Like no one should have to, I mean, I don't want people to like have the same problems as I do, but I want people to like at least have a certain idea of like
What
I
you're
went
going
through this.
through.
Okay, like maybe you did too. And I just expected her to like tell me about herself, tell me about her problems, because I like having it be like I'm going to tell you about my problems and then we can both talk about it because we both trust each other and we
Yeah.
both want to be vulnerable with each other. That's just like that's how I talk or feel the best about talking about mental
Yeah.
health, I feel like.
Yeah.
I was get all quiet. I was like waiting for
Also,
like some like
yeah,
last minute thoughts, but then we
I
just
was
started.
gonna add something. I feel like a lot of wait. Do you want to go? No, you can go. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say also like regarding the advice and just listening to people, I think that you just have to be patient because when we go on these walks, like it can like we talk for a long
Yeah.
time. And my
Yeah.
parents were like getting mad at me the other night because I needed to be home, but like I should have been home. But
Yeah.
it takes a like be patient because it's like something you need to unpack and talk about. It takes as long as you want it to take.
Yeah.
There's no time limit. Like
Yeah.
it's
And also, you don't have to always tell people everything.
yeah,
Like,
No, it's
that
okay.
too.
never.
to-
Like you have to
keep
like
things to
once you're
yourself.
comfortable, like you can disclose whatever information you want.
Yeah.
I agree.
But don't feel pressure to like say anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like let's say like for example, like if you guys were telling me like your problems and I didn't feel comfortable with like saying mine, not saying this is like actually true. I'm just like using it as an example. But like if you guys were like saying your problems and I wasn't comfortable saying mine, like you just like shouldn't feel pressured in a situation to be like
No, yeah.
like to tell yours, you know?
I think the last mental health disorder that we should unpack today is eating disorders. We kind of talked about this a little bit on our beauty standards episode, but
Yeah.
it's like such an issue. We need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over the last like few years and recently, it's been like an ongoing problem
More
or an
widespread.
increasing problem.
I feel like it always has been though. No,
yes.
It always
Okay,
has,
no,
but it's been
but
increasing.
Can I just say, like, depending? No, but back when my mom was growing up, everyone wanted to be like stick skinny. Like, not saying that's like a bad thing, but I'm just saying that was what the beauty standard was.
Yeah.
And so all of the girls would starve themselves and like modeling agencies, like that sort of thing. I think there's always been like eating disorders.
Yeah.
No, there's always been eating disorders, but I feel like now because of the increase in social media, it's been
Oh,
even
I
worse.
agree with increase in social media and like
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Also, I think like a really important statistic, I think 95% of women have eating disorders and only 85% are like, 10% you can like actually like notice if someone like is having one, and the other like percentage, which is a huge percent, like
90. That is, and you don't know.
you don't know because
know
like
that.
you know somebody like anorexia nervosa, it's when you starve yourself. It's when like you just don't eat because you are afraid of like the amount of calories you consume. So I mean, when you think of that, you think of a very skinny, like unhealthy person, but it's not always going to be a very skinny, unhealthy person. You know, it could be somebody who looks like healthy, but they're not.
Yeah.
That just goes back to like the thing. You never know what someone's going through. You never like eating disorders aren't just one thing. Like
Yeah.
it can be anorexia, bulimia, binge eating.
I feel like there's
like,
more too. I feel like there's definitely some that
Orthorexia.
aren't.
I feel like that one's really
Which one?
overlooked. Orthorexia.
What's that?
I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
What
It's
is it?
when you are obsessed with exercise and eating healthy, you will like not like, you know, you're really cautious about what you put into your body, but to the point where it's emotionally draining.
Oh,
where, like,
I've seen that before.
yeah, that's what it's
I've heard
called,
of that.
right?
I have a
I'm
question.
not sure.
Are mental disorders, eating disorders, are some of them also classified as physical disorders? Like, would you guys know? Because I feel
I mean,
like
okay.
anorexia would be as well. It would be
Well,
both.
I mean,
well,
It's-
if
it's not
if you like
Well,
injure yourself in the process, I
because
feel
it's
like.
more mental.
no,
because
but
you're,
it's like a
like-
physical disorder because it's causing
Like
physical
obesity
like,
or like
yeah.
underweight.
No, like if you're anorexic and like you are like very underweight to the point where like you need to seek medical help, like that's a physical like disorder that you also have alongside the mental aspect
Yeah.
of
I think it becomes physical when it starts becoming like
When your body's like
Yeah.
your
shuts down.
body is like
Shut-
like what you said, shutting down, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
injuring you physically.
Yeah. And even though like I don't suffer from an eating disorder, but I still think that like if you don't, you have to like know what, like ask questions like I just did, like ask questions and know that like it's okay to learn things that you aren't experiencing because it'll
Yeah.
make other people like feel more comfortable around you, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it just with what you said, eating disorders and social media, it's like I never knew, this is what I was talking about in that other episode. I never knew that eating disorders were this widespread until I would start seeing it on TikTok or Instagram, mostly TikTok. But it's like, I feel like these problems, especially eating disorders, I know that anxiety and depression and other mental illnesses or mental disorders can stem from social media, but I think specifically eating disorders, it's crazy because of how ruthless people can be on the internet. Like,
and
how
everyone wants to
insensitive.
look like someone.
everyone wants to look like
They
someone
always
else.
have-
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, this sounds stupid. Like, I feel like I've tried an eating disorder. I wasn't good at it. Like, that like, sounds, like, dumb. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like sometimes, like, I will, like, not want to just because I think I'm going to look a certain way. And then it's like, Ava, what are you doing? Like, for me, at least. And then I'll be like, okay, I need to, like, just eat healthy, work out, and, like, does that make sense? Like,
No, yeah.
I've
Just
never-
goes like everyone
Like, sometimes,
experiences
like-
things differently. So like
Yeah.
like, I obviously, like, don't have one. But
Yeah.
I felt like I wanted, like, I didn't want to. Like, I don't know how to explain that.
I don't think
like,
it's like that you wanted to
I
have.
didn't want-
it-
no, I
yeah,
didn't
I feel like
want
it's you
to.
wanted to look differently, so
yeah.
you like went to like all.
I've never personally suffered from like an eating disorder or something like that, but I have felt at times like, I just think that like, I don't weigh myself frequently because it throws everything off and I get super anxious about it. But I like, when I do, I start thinking about it and start thinking about how I'm eating, and it just stresses me out. It goes away eventually, but I think that's an important thing to talk about also, is that the numbers on the scale don't really, obviously if it's at like an unhealthy number, then it means something, but I feel like the number does not correspond to your body type. Like, the other night we were hanging out with friends and they were guessing like our weights just because we asked them to.
I, like, didn't.
And someone guessed that I weighed 125
Yeah,
pounds.
no,
I'm 5'9", 5'9" and a half. I do not weigh 125
someone
pounds.
said they were like 115, like 120, 125, and I was like no.
No, like that's just the thing. Like, the scale or the numbers don't correspond to what you look like, I feel like.
'Cause I feel we have like, we're not like at the same weight, but we like have like a similar weight, but
Yeah.
like our body types are completely
different. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly feel uncomfortable disclosing my weight to people just because I feel like a lot of people always like think that I'm like too skinny, or I hate the comments that are like, you don't eat or something, which I do eat. I eat quite a lot actually. Like, sometimes I like eat as more than I'd like to eat, but and most of the time it's like unhealthy food. But anyway, I don't really like disclosing. I had a toaster
Lunchables.
Donuts in bed.
Lunchables yesterday and a Pop-Tart. But no, I eat healthy sometimes. But I don't really like disclosing my weight just because I feel like a lot of people like think like it doesn't hurt someone who's like skinnier when you like make comments about how skinny
yeah,
they
that
are,
makes me
because
so
it really
sad.
does
Yeah.
really does affect how I look at myself. But I still like think obviously like
It's not just
I like my body and stuff, but
that's the thing.
It
It's not
still
just
affects me.
one body type that can get made fun of. Like, if you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
make fun of someone who is obese and you're gonna make fun of someone who is too skinny, like, you're still making fun of them.
Yeah.
I see-
Regardless of the body type.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the people on TikTok that are like, oh, I like, now I'm not gonna eat today or something. Like, no one wants to see millions of people commenting on their posts like, oh, I'm not gonna, or thousands.
yeah, it
because
makes
of
you
what
feel
you
bad
look
for
like.
looking the way you look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
like,
and-
you can't change how
Yes,
you look.
Some
Yeah.
people, it's just genetics.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
some people are just born like that.
I
and
think
it's
no
just-
matter
it's
what,
me.
even if you're insecure about yourself or insecure for, or like you feel bad for how another person looks, which would be really weird. Like, it's
Wait,
weird.
what?
Like, if you're insecure about the way that you look, or if you're like hating on someone else for the way they
Oh, I
look.
thought you
So-
said you feel bad.
Those
like,
are
for
the
way they
weirdo
look at
creeps.
us.
Yeah, I know, but I
Y'all are
yeah.
trollers.
If you're like a troller weirdo, like, just no matter what, don't go out and make a comment about someone else's body if you know it'll
bound to make
negative
someone
affect
uncomfortable.
Not even.
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people
negatively affect them.
Yeah.
But not even just that. I feel like a lot of people, like, you just, no matter what, you shouldn't make comments about other people's bodies, because, like, let's say like a person who was like overweight before lost like weight by doing it in a very unhealthy way. If somebody encourages that and it's like, oh, you look really like skinny, or you look really good, then that person's gonna think like, oh, I only look good when I'm like skinny, and they're gonna continue those bad eating habits. So that's why you just should not point out like someone's weight or like the way they look unless you know
I
they
agree.
worked for that specific
I think that
body.
it's
I feel
like
in general.
Do you
because then
think that
it's-
there's a huge stigma around eating disorders along with like mental health disorders? Or I don't know
I
if they're
was
both
gonna-
classified under the same
There's a-
category, but
sorry, Luna, go ahead.
Well, I was going to talk about a stigma around boys and girls and their body weights. I feel like, you know, for the beauty standard for girls, it's like you have to be 130 pounds or less, you know, but for boys, you have to be 150 pounds or more, or you're too skinny. But for girls, it's like if you weigh more than that, then you're too fat. So
yeah.
I just think it's like crazy how different it is for everyone.
I think that we all
And how
need to
confusing
remember
it
that,
is.
like, I know this is really, like, it's hard to remember in times where you're really struggling and going through it, but we all are meant to look different. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not meant to look like Ava. I'm not meant to look like Luna. Obviously not meant to look like Sammy.
I hope so.
But, like,
I don't think you can look like me.
I,
Please.
you can like leave.
but that's what, the thing is, we're all meant to look different. We're not meant to have the same body type. Like,
Yeah.
we have different genetics, and we just need to learn. It's so hard, but we need to learn to be happy with it.
With
I saw this
ourselves.
TikTok, and okay, I know it's like a TikTok, but it actually did really hit me. I feel like this is one of the reasons why I started like looking at myself in the mirror and like loving my body even more.
I do
Self-love.
that.
And no, yeah, I
do
saw
that.
this TikTok, and it was like your body like is like what is keeping you alive. So like you have to love what you were given, you know, like no matter what, your body is like it's caring for you, so you should care for it too, and like love it and do everything that you need to do.
I just feel like so many people overlook this, but you really should be grateful for everything you have, because there are some people who can't even walk, who don't have arms,
Yeah.
who don't have like, you know, like specific body parts that like most people like need, or I mean like to live like a proper,
Like
like not
Like a standard
like a
life.
standard
Yeah.
life. Yes, exactly. That's a perfect way to describe it. So just like always remember to like, you know, appreciate everything. Appreciate that you can walk. Appreciate that, you know, you're healthy, that you don't have like cancer or
Yeah.
anything.
I also think that we all, like all of us here, struggle with problems that we've talked about, like every single one of us. But I think that this conversation is like, it's good to hold us accountable and like show us like we can't put out this face on the internet and act like we're perfect and then turn around and have like, and then I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No, but
like,
yeah,
no,
like what
'cause-
you're like what you see on social media is not real. Like
Yeah,
what you
'cause
see
we're
from
also,
all of us
like-
on social media, there's
yeah.
another side to
Yeah.
yeah.
Like my face tuning. I'm open about it. I don't care.
I face soon.
Yeah, but
y'all?
back to what you were saying. Like
Yeah.
we're over here talking about like, oh, everyone's beautiful in their own way, which I like. We all do stand by, but you know that doesn't mean that we're gonna like
Believe it ourselves.
Yeah.
exactly.
about
Like
it.
we
It's not
some
ourselves.
days we look in the mirror and it's like, well, I'm not like happy with what I look like today, and that's okay too. Like we do
Yeah.
encourage that, but you
Yeah,
know we don't
and
always
also
believe
like
it
even
100%
yeah,
of
like
the
what
time.
like we're all encouraging like self-love and stuff, but that doesn't mean that we still like don't like
Don't have problems with it too.
Yeah.
That's why we're trying,
We're
we're trying
learning.
to be open with you guys and honest, because this is a learning experience for all of us. We're
But
still teenagers.
however, like other people talking about this has helped us
Yeah.
a lot. Like
Oh,
the
definitely.
communication of mental health
and even
all this.
us
has helped.
talking about it right now, like this is
Yeah.
helpful, and I hope this
Yeah.
is helpful to you
To you
guys
guys,
too,
yeah.
because
I
we're
think-
just being honest out here.
I just think it needs to be
Normalized?
Yeah,
I mean, like
normalized.
normalized. Like you can open up, you can talk about it. I mean, yeah, certain situations maybe you don't want. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
sometimes there's a
Yeah.
right time, but I think this is definitely like a subject that should be more talked about, and
Yeah.
people should understand and not be so quick to judge.
Yeah.
And
about what you're
I
going
think
through.
so. Where do you guys think the places are that this should be talked about?
I mean,
School
I agree. That's what I think.
and
that
growing
this,
up
oh,
in your
there's
house.
okay. You know what I really love? There's this club at my school called Mental Health Club, and I really like that there's like a club where they specifically are dedicated like to like discussing mental health issues. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of schools.
On my campus, there's a help center, and I feel like in other school campuses, like there should be.
Say the name.
Huh?
Why don't you say the name?
The care center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not
No,
gonna
I thought it
disclose
was.
my
I thought it
school.
was.
we already have
we
the
already.
school information.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. But the Poly Help Center, I don't know if your guys' school has it, but at our school, like it's like a place where there's a like this guy is getting paid, like that's his job, and he just like is like a therapist kind of for all the kids, and there's also like students who come in and talk to other kids. So
I really like that.
yeah, and those students are like the students who want to do that in the future and pursue that career. So yeah, that's what that whole thing is about. But also one thing about it is a lot of people like me, I once was trying to go there, but I stopped myself because I had like a stigma again around going and reaching out for help. And this was in freshman or beginning of sophomore year that I wanted to go, because I was like really going through a lot at that time, but I didn't get myself to go. Along with me not going to get myself help by a therapist. I still haven't done that. I'm trying to.
There's free therapy.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like really hard
about
sometimes.
More like at the end.
Yeah.
Like different resources.
I think that
reach out to.
There's this stigma because I feel like, first of all, it's not talked about enough, and then when it finally happens to you, you never thought it was going to happen to you, so you don't want to like, at least for me, like it was really hard for me to ask my dad, like, I need to go to therapy, like I need someone to talk to about this who I don't know.
You have to kind of go through that stage of denial first. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have that. Like,
Like I'm not going through this. It's
me.
gonna pass.
Oh my god, yeah, and then you like wait a little bit and it doesn't pass.
It's
just
gonna
getting worse.
pass.
Bro, that was literally me.
It doesn't pass.
It just, if you notice that you have a problem or that you're dealing with something, get help for it, because it'll turn into something worse and you'll regret it in the end.
There's like, I feel like it's very good now when you're younger to go get help, because then if you learn healthy ways that work for you to cope with what you're dealing with, you will have that for the rest of your life.
Yes, that's a very
That
good
is
point.
one of the main reasons why I like wanted to go, is because if I get these tools now that I can use, then in the future I will be able to handle it and I won't be so, I don't know, anxious.
I agree. I think
it'll
finding
condition you to like be willing to reach out for help.
Yeah.
I think finding ways to cope. That's a part of why I went to therapy, because when I went to therapy, I was thinking my whole mental headspace was like, okay, this lady's gonna fix me. I'm gonna walk out of here, I'm gonna be good. Like I'm done with this.
You have to put in the work. You have to fix yourself.
No.
They're gonna give you stuff and you
Yeah.
actually have to do it.
You have to work on it. Like it's not necessarily that they're gonna fix you, but they're gonna show you how to make it better.
Yeah.
Because these problems, unfortunately, but they are recurring. Like it's not like they're just gonna go away right away. You need to work on this stuff, and if you want it to get better, you really have to try for it, which sucks, but that's how everything is.
I think that we should get into how to help, like what we can do or what you can do, like the audience, and what other people can do, I think one main way to like help is, like we have been talking about this whole episode, is to make these conversations more normalized and have them be more frequent. Like we should talk about mental health, like with your family, with your friends, with anyone, and make it not something that is like, make it not something so like weird to talk about. A lot of people like really like feel uncomfortable talking about it, not because it's like touchy in a lot of like different ways, but like people just don't want to talk about it because they feel like people will look down upon it,
Yeah, so make sure you have like a good like environment, like when speaking about it.
And also, no, you go.
I mean, this kind of relates to it a little bit. I mean, one thing that I've like read and like noticed from like a lot of people and stuff is that reaching out to people or helping others is a big way to improve your own mental health. Like doing like community service, like volunteer work, like just helping people in general, I feel like makes you feel like good.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? You did something to help someone else, so maybe I should help myself. I don't know. I enjoy helping other people or reaching out.
Yeah, I think that it's just like, I want you guys to know, like, we are out here speaking in front of all you guys, being as vulnerable as possible right now. Like, we are talking to everyone who listens. Obviously, it's not that many yet.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking to all of you guys about the problems that we face. So just so you feel like comfortable, even being able to talk to one person about it can make like a world's difference.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I also want to let like our audience know, like, we know that a lot of you guys don't have people to talk about like we do. Like, we are so privileged to be able to like have friends and family members who are so supportive, and it's okay to not have people to talk to. Like, it's normal. Like, it's normal, but I'm not saying that there isn't anyone you can talk. There isn't anyone who you can't talk to. Wait,
Because we're here.
Yeah, no, we're here, and there's like free therapy. Like, Do you want to mention where you can
So,
get access to free therapy?
Online, I was looking at this because I've looked at this in the past before I wanted to ask my dad, because obviously I wasn't going to pay for it out of my pocket and I was too embarrassed to ask him. So I started looking for it online, and it was honestly hard at first to find it, but I feel like now it's become like therapy has become so much more
A
normalized.
lot of people promote it now.
Yeah. So if you look up online, BetterHelp, that's one of them, and then Regain. Those both have excellent ratings. So if you're struggling, like asking your parents, or even if you're in like a financial crunch, these are very good ways to be able to talk to someone.
Also, if
I
you
liked
have
that word,
insurance-
financial crunch. I've never
Yeah.
heard of
If you
that.
have insurance too, some insurances can cover therapy.
Yeah, mine
If
did.
you want to ask, yeah.
You can get it through like the hospital you
Yeah.
normally go to.
There are also like other resources though, like phone numbers that you can actually talk to and have a conversation with somebody. So for one of them,
The
we have,
suicide
yeah,
prevention
Then-
hotline.
this is the suicide prevention
Are you
hotline.
gonna like read it?
Well, yeah, we can.
We're
Okay.
also
Should we
gonna
do-
write it down in the
Yeah, we're
comments,
gonna
but
put like our
this is
stuff
like an
in like the
example.
description and
Yeah.
things,
But
so if people
first
want to
we
check
have-
it out.
800-273-8255.
Yeah, so that's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and from the website itself, I was reading the what you can do to help others, and I just wanted to like give you guys like this is like what it mainly said. It said to share stories of what you're experiencing and what other people who you know are. Oh, sorry. What other people you know are experiencing. Obviously, don't like.
I mean,
Don't know. No, I know, but like to make it like more normalized. Not like someone you know, like, and don't like disclose their name.
yeah,
Obviously,
okay,
they don't
yeah. I
want
was
it to
gonna say,
be
make sure
shared.
they're comfortable
But
with
no,
what you're sharing.
not sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I mean just like even if you're not experiencing something, just like make sure that it's like normalized and show that like other people can
Okay,
experience
yeah.
that too. That's what I
yeah.
meant. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Educate along with listening to others. Like when someone is talking to you, make sure that you're giving them all ears, and don't like make sure that it's up to you to make sure that you have the right reaction. Like make sure that you make it a safe environment for someone to be able to open up to you. And lastly, talking about suicide, it's actually like it is like statistically proven to help reduce, like talking about mental health and suicide is statistically proven to help prevent it.
Yeah, suicide is probably one of the scariest things that goes through the minds of teenagers and probably and adults too. But
Like the
if-
rates
Go
going
through
up
that.
for
Mhm.
COVID.
Yeah, adults. A lot of adults.
it
are
is,
depression.
guys, it is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's
knowing
heartbreaking.
someone who has gone through that, knowing someone whose friend has gone through that or family member, like it is terrible. So if you ever feel like this, please reach out to someone.
Yeah.
Please contact the suicide prevention line. You can be on the phone with them for as long as you want. They're 24-hour open. Like they're always there. Always.
Yeah.
Just reach out to someone.
And you can
Like-
text them, you can call them, but it is so important that you reach out to them.
Yeah, one of my family members works like with like doing the calls for the prevention hotline, for the suicide prevention hotline, and she says that like that there's so many people who call and so many people like are successfully like make it through
saved.
it. Yeah, it like really does
That
help.
makes me really happy.
It really does. Like I like the first time I ever heard about the suicide prevention hotline. Well, it's been brought up to me before, like in like middle school, but I really never thought that like I would ever have to use it. I haven't used it, but I really kind of looked down upon it honestly because I was in middle school and I was so young, and again I had that stigma built up around all of that. Like that's never gonna happen to me, but I didn't think that it would like work. I just thought that like it was just there for you, but it really is there, and
a lot
it
of
works.
people use it
and
and it
yeah.
helps. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. So make sure, and also I had a question. I was watching a TED Talk video about mental health and teenagers. Do you think that schools should have mental health days just as if like a physical health injury like happened, like mental health
Like,
should
what
be
do you mean?
prioritized? Like
Like-
for example, if you get sick or something and you are physically hurt, you don't go to school.
Oh,
Do you
I
think that
that's
if you
up
are
to the
mentally
parents, though, not the school. You know, because every person or like every kid is gonna have like different days where they want to like just stay home.
do you
not
think
do
there's been
anything.
days where you wanted to stay home and have mental health days?
Definitely. Do you know how much school I skipped my sophomore year? I literally like I missed like a solid like 3 days every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's
one
what I'm
day-
saying. Like I think you shouldn't be penalized for wanting
I
to stay
think
home.
the day this is a normal topic, but looking back on it, I'm like, okay. Like the day that I got broken up with, I wanted to stay home the next day because I showed up at school and I was bawling my eyes out. I didn't stop crying the whole day. And if I had just stayed home, I probably would have felt a lot better. But I showed up to all my classes bawling my eyes out because I could not handle it.
I think
And
that
I
makes
should
you
have.
like strong though that you did go.
I
But
would have
also,
stayed
like,
home.
oh.
I would have 100%.
Yeah, and then I was
stayed
able to
home.
cry in front of people.
Yeah.
I honestly, I didn't really care that much just because I was really going through it. But
You still showed up though. That takes like a lot.
yeah, it was
Like, I
it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
Like that was really
Yeah, that's why I think
difficult.
that some days like you should take time for yourself
Yeah.
and like I what she said in the podcast was that one day could either make it like the next day a whole lot better or a whole lot worse, you know?
I just think make sure to make time for yourself, especially. Not everyone like make sure to take care of yourself. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like where you just like stay home all day. I like doing that. My time for myself is me sitting at home for a day and just taking a day to hang out with my family and like stay with myself. But like just give yourself some self-love.
Yeah.
Treat
And
yourself
space.
good and
And
space.
I think that it's important to address the fact that as teenagers, it's really easy for us to find unhealthy ways to cope with these things, like drugs to alcohol. But I think it's important to focus on the healthier ways to cope with these things, like the things they can teach you in therapy. Even going to working out is very helpful to me when I'm
Sport.
really
Or
feeling
just
don't
anything
know.
like painting.
painting,
Do
whatever
like
you love to
singing
do.
when you are
Dancing.
feeling sad because
When I'm angry or sad, I like to swim.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like my mom should not make me go to swim because I'm really not feeling good.
Yeah.
Like I cannot do this right now.
But yeah, just find that thing that makes you happier and do it.
Yeah.
Or
And
find the
express your
people who
emotions.
make you happier
Yeah.
and talk to them about it, you know? So wrapping this episode up, just make sure that you are always having these conversations like as much as you can. Obviously not like in a setting where it isn't like the right time, but just like if you can have these conversations with loved ones, make sure you have them and make sure that you check up on your friends.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's a really important thing. Like, if you know your friend is going through something, just text them and be like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, do you want to, like, talk? Like, how have things been?
Or-
Because even that can just make such a huge
But
difference.
because
Even,
then they
like,
feel like
pick
someone
them
is
up or
caring.
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're like someone like cares about like, do you know what I mean? Like,
And a
they
lot
know,
of
like, they're-
people who do struggle with, like, depression and other, like, mental, like, disorders, like, they always think, oh, like, nobody cares for me. I'm not loved. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone
So
hates me.
even just,
That's
like,
true.
a small, like, little thing like that, it could have
Yeah.
a very big
Yeah.
impact.
Like a small thing like getting picked up and going to get boba will like make my whole day a lot better.
Yeah,
Like
and
during
just-
quarantine, like when we
I
would just
remember
like
that.
yeah, like it'll just make your day a whole lot better if you just like reach out to someone and
like-
just like give them a minute of your
yeah.
day.
Or just
something.
like little texts. Like sometimes I just be like, hi, like I love
Yeah.
you. I hope you're doing good. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like little things.
Yeah, guys, if you're watching this right now and you think one of your friends is going through something,
Text
just text
them.
them.
Or if
Yeah.
you're
Or
going
call
out through
them.
some,
Or call
or if you're
them.
going through something too, like reach out to people.
You can even reach out to us.
Yeah, reach
like,
out to us.
honestly,
We're always here.
Yeah,
for
we've made it clear in every
our
episode that
fans.
you guys are always free to talk to any of
Yeah.
us, either individually or you can contact the podcast account as in general. Like we're always here for you, all of us.
Are we
yeah.
gonna do like a group reply?
No, yeah, well, one of us will reply, and yeah, we're always here for you, and we always want to make that very clear. And then again, the suicide prevention hotline number will be down below in the
Also with
description along with the
other-
caption.
So will the
Along with
free
other
therapy.
resources.
Other
Yeah.
resources that you
Guys,
can like go to.
lastly, I just want to say that, again, this is a safe space, but you are so beautiful.
And loved.
Yes.
And loved.
Yes.
Karen,
Even
if
though
I
I know
don't
it
know
might
you.
sound a little bit cringy for us, and you might not
cheesy.
believe
I
it,
always
but
used to
it's
think
true.
it sounded
Like,
cringy. Be gentle with yourself. Like I don't know why that just like sounded like.
but it's true.
No, but it's true. Like be
Yeah.
like it's okay.
yeah,
Everything's
You're
gonna be
allowed
okay.
to cry too. If you want to cry, bawl it
Cry,
out.
yeah.
Just bawl it out.
And
Go
al-
driving, listening to music while crying.
And always do your research on what you can do to help others. Like obviously we did our
Yeah.
fair share of research, but like I think that it's always like okay and always good for
And
you
there's
to
always
go out
more
and,
to
like,
know.
Yeah,
You know
there
what I mean?
always is. I learned so much from this
Me too.
podcast. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
Are we gonna-
I feel
are
like
we
this was a
wrapping
really good episode,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
happy.
feel like this
feel like-
conversation needs to again be talked
It
about.
It needs
more.
to be
Because everyone
continued,
will
guys. Don't stop the conversation.
Continue our
here.
conversation. It hasn't ended right now.
spread the word.
We just can't be here a little
Yeah.
for another 30 minutes. I have a pop up to be at, you guys.
Yeah.
No, but yeah.
Support OEO.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shop
Thank-
OEO.
Yeah, shop
Discount
OEO.
code is Ava15.
Or Layla.
Stop.
Sammy didn't give me a discount code.
No, yeah, but we actually do have a pop up shop to go to. Me and Ava, it's her turn to go. I'm bringing her with. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
We
Ready?
really appreciate
We
it.
really
Oh, yes, thank you.
follow
Follow
us on-
us, follow us on Instagram at 14s for change. And for any business inquiries, email us at
14 for change at gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Outro.
Ready?
Outro.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Bye.